Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for coming out today. We've got, a great program of stuff that we're going to talk to you about during the course of the afternoon. There'll be some time for questions towards the end as well. Today marks the 10-year celebration of the Portadover Community Fund. It's been going for 10 years. And in that time, we've deployed over £1 million into community projects. We're very, very pleased with what we've been doing. I'd also like to thank the London Philharmonic Orchestra, who was entertaining you guys. We'll hear a little bit more about our relationship with them. Now, before we get on to the formal annual consultative meeting, one of the things that we wanted to do was celebrate the 10 years of the Portadover Community Fund. So what we thought we'd do is just show a bit of a video of some of the fund beneficiaries over the years and enjoy.
Big thanks to the Port of Dover Community Fund.
We're the Forge Youth Arts Group run by Future Foundry.
Future Foundry is a creative and cultural organisation based in Dover.
Because of your support, we've been able to hold the Student Makers Markets, where young people aged 14 to 25 can learn to sell their own creations.
You also helped with Waste to Wealth, a project where young people learn how to turn waste into something useful.
And thanks to your funding, Dover's Winter Light Up was such a fun event with spectacular giant lanterns and thousands of people taking part.
In 2025, your funding will also help us bring the 3rd Dover Youth Festival to life with over 40 other organisations in the town.
We love being a part of these projects. They help us learn new things
and given us confidence to meet new people and speak to them.
Thank you, Port of Dover Community Fund, for everything you've done for us. We can't wait to keep working together and doing even more cool stuff.
Thank you!
This year, the Port of Dover Community Fund celebrate their 10th anniversary. We wish to let them know just how grateful we are for the support that they have shown to Peg's Place scheme over the years. To date, they have given over £1.3 million to the community projects just like ours. Thank you, and your support means so much to us. Cheers from all of us at the Peg's Place Scheme Youth Forum. Thank you!
Hello, I'm Angela from Be Change. and I want to say a huge thank you to Port of Dover for your incredible support. With your help, we've been able to support people in gaining practical and soft skills for work, giving them the confidence and the tools they need for a brighter future. Your funding also made our Smart Families Get Fit Together project possible, bringing families together to cook, eat and enjoy fun physical activities. Parents often told us how much their children loved trying new foods they had never eaten before, which was fantastic to hear. And during the pandemic, your support was truly invaluable. It helped us stay connected with people during lockdowns and provide over 17,000 hot meals delivered straight to vulnerable people's homes when they needed it most. So, from all of us at Be Change and from the many families and individuals whose lives you've helped to improve, thank you.
On behalf of the Dover and Deal Sea Cadets, I, as the funding officer, would like to express our thanks to the Port of Dover Community Fund for its invaluable support over the past 10 years. On behalf of our commanding officer, our president, all of the cadets, training staff and the committee members, we extend our thanks to the Port of Dover Community Fund for their generous support over the last decade.
We want to say a huge thank you to the Port of Dover for your incredible support in helping to fund our community hub. At our hub, we provide a wide range of vital services for people living in the Dover district. Without your support, we wouldn't be able to continue the work we do, making a real difference in our community every day. Thank you from all of us.
I'd just like to say thank you, a massive thank you to the Port of Dover, who's with their grant has meant we've been able to get this lovely shelter for our Thursday, Friday and Monday fishing groups at Cottondon Lakes. It means that we've got a nice area for our community to meet in the morning, to come for lunch at the end of day reflection. We've got, as you can see, we've got a log burner, we can do our breakfasts and we can do our TP based learning sessions in here, which otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do. It's been a massive great help for everybody and really appreciate it. Thank you.
My name's Heather and I run the community groups here at St Peter's Church in Aylsham with all these lovely ladies. We want to say thank you for the funding that you've given us to help keep our toddler groups, our special needs group, our youth group and our coffee stop going. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Celine. I've been coming to Dover Home Starts groups now every Friday morning for the past 6 years now, I think. I have had my 3 children with me. I now have just one, but it has been an absolute lifeline for us. I've made so many friends. I've had additional support as well in other areas. But this is all thanks to the Port of Dover Communities Funds, because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to do it without that. And I know as well as me, there are so many other parents that benefit from it, and we're all able to support each other. So thank you so much for funding the group.
Hi, my name is Kerry Banks and I am the fundraising and events manager for a fabulous local charity called Martha Trust. We're here today in our beautiful gardens. We support incredible young people and adults over the age of 18 with the most profound disabilities. We offer lifetime care and support for the families and carers. We are incredibly grateful to the Port of Dover Community Fund for their £5,000 donation to enable us to put this towards an activities supporters role to provide vital daily activities for our residents, which are really important to their daily well-being. We're also very grateful for the gifting kind and the volunteers that they have provided over the years and continue to do so. So from myself and everyone at Martha Trust, a massive thank you.
Thank you to the Port of Dover Community Fund for our brilliant band.
As grant manager for Kent Community Foundation, I have the incredible privilege of managing the Port of Dover Community Fund. Over the last 10 years, this fund has supported numerous local projects and initiatives, making a real difference in Dover. From educational programs to environmental conservation efforts, we've seen firsthand the positive impact of our collective work. I am deeply grateful for the trust and support from the community, and I look forward to continuing this journey together. Thank you to all who have been part of this amazing experience.
We are super proud to be celebrating this fantastic milestone of 10 years of the Port of Dover Community Fund this year, with an incredible donation over that time of 1.3 million. That's just fantastic. The highlight for me and the pleasure has been actually going to visit some of these projects in action, meeting with the beneficiaries. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Kent Community Foundation for their support over the past 10 years, and of course for putting this wonderful video together. Thank you.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I think the message is that the Port Community Fund has had a real impact in the communities that we've been supporting. And it's something that we're very, very proud of. And you saw the breadth and the range of activities that we do. But we also have somebody here in person who we've supported. And I'd like to bring Dawn up, Dawn Fawkes from Dover Smart, to talk with us.
Thank you. Now, I do love a chat. I've been given 1 minute, 20 seconds. Jenny's going to do gestures if I don't crack on. So, as Doug said, I'm Dawn. I'm the founder and CEO of Dover Smart Project, and I'm really honoured to be here speaking as we celebrate 10 years of the Community Fund. Dover Smart Project has been part of this journey from the very beginning. And I can say hand on heart, without the support of the port and the staff, we simply wouldn't exist today. We absolutely wouldn't exist. Because of this partnership, 270 young carers and their families have someone fighting their corner for recognition, for opportunity, for a fairer start in life. 45 older people who, in Dover now have a safe and welcoming place where loneliness is kept at bay. Families living with cancer have a space to share both their fears and their hopes. And the wider communities has access to art that doesn't just decorate, but transforms spaces, stories, and most importantly of all, self-worth. So from me, my team, and from the hundreds of people whose lives you've changed, thank you. And thank you for believing in Dover Smart, and thank you for believing in Dover. We really appreciate you. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dawn. Now, I've got one more thing that I need to do, but before I do that, I just wanted to recognize the efforts of everybody who have put their time and energy into making certain that all the support, all the work that we do with the Dover Community Fund is recognized. So, first of all, we've got the Kent Community Foundation. We'll bring Catherine up in just a minute. Who support us in all the administration of it and make certain that we're getting the cash deployed and all that kind of stuff. So they've been fantastic. The people who decide upon the grants are the award panel, and they're here today. So we've got Emma, Andrew, and Roger in the room, and their efforts to make certain that where we are investing the resources that we have each year. And you know, it's a wonderful opportunity to review the breadth of activity that's going on across our community. And then finally, Jenny Beacon, who has been a superstar, Jenny, at everything that you're doing about bringing the community closer to us and us closer to the community. So thank you very much. Now, we every year when it comes time to release our annual results, one of the other things that we do is we also release our donation into the Port Community Fund for the year. And I'm really pleased to do that now. Catherine, can you come up? So this year's donation I missed my cue. So we were presented with a certificate for 10 years of working together towards this incredible milestone. Now, £211,000. This is the biggest single donation. Last year we had a record donation. This year it's the biggest single donation that we've made into the Poor Community Fund. So Emma, Andrew, Roger, we're going to be very busy. Excellent. Now, with the 10-year celebration of the Poor Community Fund, what we're going to do now is swing into the actual main event, being the annual consultative meeting. And with that, I'd like to welcome our chair up to the stage, Jason Holt.
So welcome to the annual Port Exchange, which, as you know, incorporates the annual consultative meeting of the Dover Harbour Board. I'm Jason Holt, as Doug has introduced. I'm the chairman of the board. It's a distinct privilege. It's my third time standing up here. And every year we seem to have more and more better news for you. So it's a privilege to be here. In fact, we're in this fantastic cruise terminal, which always impresses. And tomorrow it'll be back into business as it becomes the area where our passengers from two cruise liners tomorrow, Star Pride and La Perouse, will be arriving tomorrow, so we're back into business. For those who attended our celebratory reception to mark 10 years of the Port of Dover Community Fund, just prior to the meeting, I hope you enjoyed the musicians from the London Philharmonic, who seem to have disappeared. But obviously it makes the occasion that much more memorable and indeed cultural. I must explain that earlier this year, the port established a relationship with the Philharmonic to such an extent through the Arts Council that it creates more of a destination for Dover, including through cultural activities. The bonus is not just nice music and adding some ambience to the scene, it's also part of an outreach for the local community, because the Philharmonic visit schools to inspire others with future talent in Dover, and it's a great fit for us, and I think it's a nice fit also for the community. Today's annual Port Exchange actually started at 10 o'clock this morning, as you heard from Doug, and we've had a number of educational interventions. This meeting is, in fact, the end of a full day of engagement from children within the community. 10 o'clock, the Marina team hosted the local Temple Ewell Primary School with 14 Year 5 students, visiting to the Marina office to see how we control the locks and the gates in the port. The Safety, Health and team hosted 30 Year 7 and 8 pupils at St Edmund's Catholic School in Dover to explore, no doubt, environmental issues such as species, water quality and climate change, and of course health and safety matters about water and fire. 16 students from East Kent College Dover met our apprentices, toured terminal control and engineering, and then had a police presentation. I'm not quite sure what that means. And 8 further students from East Kent College in Folkestone also met the apprentices and had a presentation on the Dover Western Docks Revival Project and the recent work that has taken place there. All of these East Kent College students were then given a session by Human Resources, HR, really important skills such as CV writing and interview skills, which I think for those children is very important. So, returning to the consultative meeting, before I offer my own reflections of the past year, let me introduce the better half of the Dover Harbour Board. So starting with Perry Gladding, who's our Deputy Chair. Perry chairs the Remuneration Committee. And then Denise Everett, who chairs the Audit Committee. Thank you, Denise. We have Helen Samuels, Sareem Sheikh, Stuart Yannicki, one of our community directors, who you probably saw many times in the photographs. Doug Bannister, wherever you've gone, you're there, sorry Doug. And Jonathan Pascoe, our Chief Financial Officer, both of whom you will hear more from later. And then Heather Jones, who's no longer with us, but you saw several times in the photographs, our Community Director, who finished with the board, but I'd like to thank her on behalf of the board of her work since she was appointed in 2022. And finally, a couple of housekeeping points. So if there are no fire alarms to be expected today, if you do hear a fire alarm, follow me, because I'm going to go out of that door there, I think, those two doors there. So that's that bit done. And finally, the meeting is being recorded for posterity, I'm sure, and other things too. My reflections. So one of the privileges of being on the board of Dover Harbour is it's a fabulous business. It's a fabulous port. And for once in my career, I don't have to do too much. Me and my colleagues, all we have to do is ask the odd question, offer a little bit of guidance, and then we sit back and watch the skill, judgment, and expertise of all the people who work in the port to do what they've done. And the money that the port makes, obviously the more that we make, the more that we put into the community fund. So it is a distinct privilege working on the board of Dover Harbour. I'm proud to say that 2024 was a record year for the port, both in what we delivered in terms of infrastructure, but also our results and the amount of trucks, people, travellers, freight that came through the port. And that's not something that just happens. That's a great deal of hard work. We've reset our relationships distinctly, both with the United Kingdom government, but also with our French cousins, and in fact the European cousins as well. And we've had distinct dealings with French government at the very highest level this year, similarly with the British government as well. And that's largely about the European entry and exit system, which we'll talk about in a minute. Dover, no doubt, remains the unrivaled location for a nation like ours. It's the quickest, easiest, most effective way to get to the continent. It offers smooth and seamless trade and travel, and we carried that message when we went to see the various senior governments that we talked about. This month also, we organised in London, in Westminster, an international summit for politicians, government officials, trade officials, industry figures from both sides of the Channel with regard to working collaboratively to make sure that our agenda in the Port of Dover is sustainable and we continue to grow. Such collaborations on display just about every day of the week here in Dover, and most notably you'll see it in the pragmatic introduction of the European entry and exit system. We call that EES, more of which Emma will tell you a lot about later on. EES has compelled us to accelerate many investments, so EES is good. But it's also quite difficult for us. We've had to spend £73 million on projects in and around EES, and also to accelerate other projects to make sure we could get EES done. And it's difficult. It's not easy. And we've had to be compliant with new border processes. We're against the clock. We have to have it in place by the 1st of November. But it's necessary to continue to trade, to be the best in the business for our ferry customers, our travellers, and those people who are commuting to and from the continent. Beyond the immediate priorities, we also looked to the future and delivered an ambitious port plan, which I think some of you, indeed many of you, will be involved in. That was Port of Dover 2050 Master Plan. That's a significant piece of work that tells us, as an organisation, what you want to happen to the port in the next 25 years and where the port will be in 25 years. And that becomes our guiding light, our North Star for where we will go in terms of how we will establish and configure the port for the next 25 years. Our infrastructure director, Tony Yates, will say more on that later, but a key element of its development and support was the collaboration from yourselves, both customers, community, government, our own people, wider industry and the general public from the very start. And I'd like to thank you all for those of you who participated in giving us your fair and frank views on how you wanted to see the port in 25 years. When delivered, the 2050 plan will not only contribute to the national economic growth, but also local prosperity, which is really what it's all about when it's close to our hearts, linked to the commercial uptick, future skills development and local jobs. But as always, it's our employees who have driven all this, and I'd like to thank them on behalf of the whole of the board for their hard work. It empowers our core values. We're driving strong collaboration, and with that care, it reflects our role as stewards in this very special place that we call Port of Dover. You'll hear a lot more during the meeting on many different aspects of the port's activity, but from me, I hope you find that today helpful and informative. Thank you for attending, And I will now hand over to Doug, who will take you through the next part of the meeting.
Thank you, Jason. We've got a normal run-through of events today. We'll be hearing from members of the team to talk about the different areas that we've been working on for during the course of 2024. No, that's okay. Jason mentioned that it's not anticipated any fire alarms, and I was just curious for a moment. If people were moving towards the exit, I was going to hustle you along. That's not the case. We'll be publishing all of this in our 2024 annual report and our CSR, Corporate Social Responsibility Report. They should be out shortly. Now, in terms of framing our activities, one of the things that we've been driving through the Port of Dover is our core values. So I'm going to present our activities consistent with what our core values are. Our core values are working together, looking after everyone and everything, exchanging ideas and innovating, and empowering each other. So I'll start with working together. We have had an exceptional summer. In fact, for the vast majority of the year, the port has performed very well. What that means for our customers is that they're getting to and through the port much swifter than they had been, seamlessly. And what that means for our community is that our community can go about their daily business without having to worry about queuing. Particularly for the summer, we had a lot of activity that we were doing about creating the infrastructure to support the introduction of the entry-exit system, the EES. Even around all that infrastructure work, and we had capacity offline while we were doing that work, we still managed to improve our processing times before the border from 41 minutes in 2023 to less than 10 in 2024. And that's one of the main reasons why folks in the community have not felt the traffic in and around town this past summer. All that requires some pretty exceptional teamwork. So within the theme of working together, the amount of work that we do with Police Sans Frontières, the Kent Resilience Forum, our ferry operators, clearly our own people as well, that meant that led to the profound results. Now, I'm not going to take any of Emma's thunder away from EES, but the one thing that I do want to highlight is the tremendous amount of diplomatic effort that we've had to put in over the course of the year that we've been working on this, and still some time to go before the 1st of November. And, we were, as Jason highlighted, we were in Paris, we were in Brussels, we were in London, a lot. And a lot of that was trying to gear us towards getting some necessary approvals so that we could operate an introduced EES system here in Dover in the best possible way. So our second value I'll talk about is exchanging ideas and innovating. One of the profound things that we did during the course of the year was the development and conclusion of our Port 2050 plan. One of the key aspects of that was early, but importantly, continuous stakeholder engagement throughout. So we were engaging with different groups in the community, in fact, open public events, to make certain every step of the way through the development, we were testing ideas, we were gathering new ones, and we were bringing them into the plan. The feedback that we've had is that everybody appreciated that level of engagement to the point where the plan is more everyone's plan rather than just Port of Dover's plan that we dreamt up in a dark room. We did deploy some other things. We had always-on engagement. There was a platform called Commonplace. That allowed everybody through our engagement hub to track what was going on with the project, but importantly, continue to express ideas, ambitions, challenges, questions about what's happening around the port. We launched it up at the Labour Party conference with kind of the great and the good, Mike Kane, Maritime Minister, Liam Burham, Trade Minister, and Mike Tapp, our local MP. One of the things that we're doing is still working towards, leveraging our own skills for work on decarbonization, building innovation and skills, and we're also trying to create a bit of a momentum around that, around being able to realize our ambitions. That led us to working successfully with University of Kent and one of our ferry operators, DFDS, to establish a new maritime cluster here down in Dover for the short straits. It's been supported by some funding from the Department for Transport and Maritime UK. Now, what the Maritime Cluster is starting to do is starting to develop the plans and the engagement around building a platform where we can create career and learning possibilities for people in the area, looking to develop skills and also starting to lean into energy requirements and sustainability. Third value is around empowering each other. And certainly one of the main things that we've been doing is how do we build empowerment across the organization with an ambition of wishing to take decisions as far forward in the organization as we possibly can. One of the projects we did during the year is we commissioned and we filmed, we scripted, and soon you'll be seeing on your televisions, prime time, a television series called Dover 24/7, Britain's busiest port. Keep an eye out on Channel 4. You'll see it very, very soon. It starts. Now, one of the things that where we walked into this, the television series, is we wanted to absolutely showcase the powerful and dedicated work that our people do here each and every day. Often, we get, and people from around here, you've been around the port for a long time, we get lumbered with some pretty sensational headlines and pictures of queues of vehicles that may be a few years out of date. But what this television series will do is allow us to celebrate all the hard work that we do each and every day throughout the year to make certain that this port works in the best possible way for our customers and for our community. We also, one of the things around empowering each other is we replaced our ERP system, Enterprise Resource Planning, core computer system. We replaced it with Oracle. And in fact, with this, this implementation of Oracle in this port, in this place, was up for an Oracle Global Award for how well it was implemented. It was flawless. And so now what that allows us to do is to start to put together a lot more of the data and the information across the company to better value. In terms of looking after everyone and everything, which is our fourth value, clearly one of the main things that's on our agenda is keeping people safe, and that is a lot around health and safety. During the year, we conducted some deep immersive training for everybody across the entire company. And it was rated as the best training that we've ever done here in the Port of Dover. We also implemented a modern incident reporting system called EvoTix. That allows us to begin to better track how things are going. We implemented our Port Safe program, which is an ambition from our police and our security to make certain that we're keeping everybody safe who use our facilities. In terms of looking after everyone and everything, we're also on track with our very ambitious sustainability agenda, which sees us, back in 2022, we set ourselves a target of becoming net carbon zero in the Port of Dover by 2025, 5 years faster than any other port in this nation. This is 2025, and we're on track, which is really cool. Yeah, well, hey! Now, Vicky will say will be up in a little bit to tell us a little bit more about that. Clearly in terms of looking after everyone and everything, community is high on our agenda as well. Now, last year, we provided a donation to the Port Community Fund of £180,000, our largest ever donation to date, only surpassed by today. But beyond that, we also have done our third full year of our employee volunteering program, where this year we saw 69 of our colleagues supporting 15 projects and giving about 480, call it 500, I'll round up, 500 hours worth of benefit into the community, a value of about nearly 50 grand. And we've done projects all over the place, from building an amphitheater to restoring a gun pit up at the Western Heights. But we also do things like the Port of Dover Regatta and supporting other activities with the Dover Lifeguard Club and Pegasus Play Scheme. The regatta last year was the first year that we had it sponsored by somebody, and it was sponsored by Fred Olsen Cruise Line. And of course, for the second year in a row, we achieved a Clean Regatta Award, which is something we're very proud of. So I hope, in walking through each of our four core values, you can see some of the breadth and reach of the activities that we work on here in the Port of Dover. What I'd like to do now is hand over to John Pascoe, our CFO, to talk about some numbers. John.
Thanks, Doug. So, as a trust port, in order to support the scale of the investment that Jason was talking about earlier on, we've got to continue to drive revenue, and we do that by trying to be the smoothest and most efficient port in the UK, which is exactly what we did during 2024, as you heard from Doug. More ferry passengers, more cruise passengers, more cargo ships. We increased our revenue to £97.9 million, a record, up by nearly £5 million, over 5% year on year. As a result, another year of record EBITDA, record profit. 40.2 million, up over 6%, which is why we're able to deliver that cheque to the community fund. The ferry business, the core business for us, traffic volumes continue to grow, 1.8 million tourist vehicles, 9.4 million passengers, an increase of 9.8% and 5.5% respectively. Interestingly, the market for tourists was only up about 3%, so we grow our share of that, which we're really pleased about. We took some volume back from our main competitor. Freight volumes, pretty steady. It's been a difficult market, I think, difficult economy the last 12 months. But they've held steady, 2.2 million freight vehicles going through the port. And we've managed to hold our share of that pretty steady, so we're pleased with that. As a result, ferry operations give revenue of 75.6 million last year, and the year before last, up to nearly 79 million in 2024. This clearly shows the importance of the ferry business and why we need to continue to invest in it, as Jason said earlier, to keep it going. The other business streams, cruise. We worked with 21 different cruise lines last year, and that generated our best ever revenue generating year for cruise. Ship calls up 9%, 105 calls. Passenger numbers up by 4%, 164,000 cruise passengers passed through the port last year. So again, a really good for the town. Demonstrates the appeal of Dover, close to London. It's attractive for overseas visitors, which is why the revenue was up nearly 20% to over £5 million last year. Cargo business, another successful year for them. 4% increase in the number of ships using the cargo terminal. A 22% increase in revenue, £6 million of cargo revenue. That included a 40% uplift in our perishable cargo vessels, 30% uplift in our perishable pallet volumes, and also a lot of general cargo work, a lot of aggregate. And the growth was supported by the investment that we continue to put into that terminal, new infrastructure, new cargo handling, and new mobile cranes as well. So we're really pleased with that business. And then property and marina. Property portfolio includes hotels, restaurants, leisure businesses. Again, another nearly 6 million pound of revenue. And the marina delivered 2.1 million pound of revenue. So another increase there. So another really strong piece of business. So in summary, said at the start, 2024 was a really, really good year for us. We're really pleased with it. Really strong across all of our business streams. What it showed is that we need to continue to invest in it, though. You've seen the work we've done in the Western Docks in preparation for EES. Continue to work on our outbound controls projects. Just continuing to grow on our way to net zero. Continue to drive the business. And to give you a little bit more about the flavour of the business, I'm going to introduce you to our newest member of the exec team, our Chief Commercial Officer, Tim Mays.
Thanks, John. That was my introduction, was just to say I am the newest member of the executive, and joining at the end of 24, I'd like to lay claim to all the successes that took place in 24. but in all honesty, it's the quality of the team that you work with that's delivered some of that stuff. So I am absolutely delighted. You've got me, thank you. I'm absolutely delighted to say our 3 ferry customers, P&O, DFDS and Irish Ferries, had a really strong year, delivering innovation and consistently improving their onboard product for the 9.4 million passengers that they saw through the port last year. One of those key initiatives was the Freight Space Agreement that DFDS and P&O and Irish Ferries trialled in July and then implemented later on, which helped deliver some efficiencies through the port, and that part of the 2.2 million freight units that John talked about earlier. The volume of freight that we put through the port equates to 144 billion of trade goods for the UK, which represents around 33% of the entire UK's imports. These numbers remind us why Dover is so significant as a national asset. Over the course of the next 12 months, I really look forward to working really closely with our ferry passengers. In cruise, as John alluded to, we had another terrific season with 21 cruise lines. 24, we celebrated 6 inaugural calls from ships of different sizes, suiting all tastes, and this included the smaller award-winning and exclusive Viking Saturn, part of an ongoing 3-year programme of 60 calls between 23 and 25. We also welcomed large and impressive Mein Schiff 4 for the first time, part of the global TUI brand, as we work to attract ever bigger vessels into Dover. And I believe there's a ship over 300 metres soon to turn here. In fact, if you look at TUI together with CFC and Seabourn, each had vessels making debut calls within the space of a week. And I think I'm right in saying that tomorrow's 2 inaugural calls as well, and there's another 2 or 3 over the course. Now, the important thing about cruise for the local economy is that it delivers people and money into it. And we estimate that around 8,000 cruise guests per weekend head into Dover and Kent during the summer as a result of this. About 60% of them have booked excursions into the Kentish attractions. Encouraging independent travellers into Dover town, we worked with a local bus provider and Dover District Council to ensure a regular bus service into town and welcome desks providing expert advice. And it's notable that American and German, as well as British passengers and visitors, are making up a significant proportion of cruise guests now. What that means is that they are now booking a lot more hotel rooms than before, which is making it even more difficult to get a hotel room, as I know all too well. In cargo, John mentioned some of the key investments, and one of those specifically was a Liebherr 550 mobile crane, which if you look across the cargo facility, you can see standing proudly. And that is designed with advanced features for high precision and high volume cargo throughput, enabling swift turnaround. Now, what that means is that has allowed us to meet the demand that has been growing from a range of industries in building across building supplies such as steel and aggregate, but also with the perishable goods of melons, grapes and citrus fruits, of which we have seen from travelling around the world. And that's very much what cargo does for us, as along with cruises, put us on the global map as well as the European map. Now, this partnership with Liebherr has also enhanced our deep sea capabilities, but it's also driven our sustainability operations through the use of HVO, hydrogenated vegetable oil, as an alternative fuel source, something I'm sure Tony will touch on later. And continuing that sustainability theme, we have continued our partnership with Euroforest through 2024, which was about shipping windblown timber from Scotland down to Dover, from Aberdeen and via coaster vessel, and that was then connected and moved to Sandwich in Kent, the renewables facility there. 2024 was the most successful year the new cargo terminal has ever seen, and I'm delighted to say that there were growth in all metrics. On the waterfront, the marina that John touched on earlier was celebrated being voted one of the best 300 marinas in the world for the outer marina via Navily, the innovative online cruising guide with the large community. It was praised for its customer service as well as its modern and sustainable facilities. And having escorted some people around it only last week, I was delighted with the feedback that, that came through there. But the marina is more than just a place to park yachts. It's also a venue for special events and for charitable activities, and one such activity of this was the arrival of Alex Lewis, the first quadruple amputee to offshore row across the south of England from Falmouth to Dover on a uniquely adapted boat. And it's great that the marina is attracting such interest as we look to enhance the vibrancy of the waterfront. Now, as in commercial, you're only as good as the operational team that are there to deliver the stuff that we try and sell. So, I know I'm after favours all the time, right? So I'd like to introduce Emma.
I always like the ACM. It gives me the one opportunity to boast about operations and how great we are. Doug touched on the summer that we had last year. It was probably one of the most amazing summers that we've ever seen. And that was down to the operational teams. You know, there's a lot of work goes into preparing for these getaways. And, you know, the terminal control teams, our passenger champions, our police, our security and resilience teams, so much work goes into it to try and get the traffic through as quickly and as seamlessly as possible. So, you know, last year was great, considering it coincided with the Paris Olympics. So we've also got to thank our French colleagues who are absolutely amazing, and of course our ferry operators. So what I will say is that one of the things that we really invested in last year was some real-time customer information. So, so our customers travelling through now can go onto Twitter and get the real time of what's actually happening. And the other thing that we invested in was some AI tools. So this is quite new for us, but what it's actually doing is predicting our traffic. So what we do know now, 6 hours in advance, is actually what's coming. And that's really quite new for us. And so, especially for our terminal control team, they can now make very much sort of data-driven decisions rather than just relying on what's happening at the time. So they can start making those decisions before it actually happens. So, and that we demonstrated that a lot last year. And I always try and sort of say, if you haven't seen in the Daily Mail chaos in Dover, that means we're doing okay. So, and for once, we didn't see it. So it was really, really good. But right at the beginning of the summer, so Doug alluded to the fact that we've got this television series coming out. And I will say I was a little bit nervous about it because I thought, you know, chaos in Dover, that's all we're ever known for. But I wanted it to really portray us as being this, you know, this really well-prepared ops team that, you know, we don't go into these things just, oh yeah, it's a busy summer, we don't do much about it. There's so much work goes on behind the scenes. But so what happened? The first day of the busiest day of the year, and what happened? We got hit by the CrowdStrike global IT failure, and everything went black. And I can remember walking into terminal control thinking, no, and it was being filmed. But what it did demonstrate is how good we are and how we react to those sort of and it was massive, you know, so one of our ferry operators lost all of their systems, so, and we lost everything, but we carried on. And what we also did was take a lot of traffic from other people that was affected by it, but we just kept going, and we just kept going, and there was no queues. As Doug said, we were down to like a 10-minute dwell time. So it just goes to show how efficient we are and how resilient we are too. And one of the things that we really worked on last year was around our staff and our resourcing. So a lot of our staff work in cargo, cruise, Eastern Docks, but a lot of the roles can sort of, you know, what I always found when I took over this job was that everybody just worked in their areas and there was not a lot of cross-functional working. So one of the things that I did when I got this role was to start bringing in the staff into one team, and with Emma's help with HR, because there's all sorts of HR issues around it, but we've now got this fully trained, multi-skilled set of people that can now work across all of our different businesses, and that's really proving to be, you know, if cargo's got a quiet day, they come and work at the Eastern Docks. If cruise is really busy, cargo go and help with cruise. So it's really, really working very, very well. And again, you know, just to sort of say thank you to the operations teams, because you're the ones who make this work. It's not me, it's you, and I can't thank you enough. One of the probably biggest highlights of my career happened to me last year was we got a brand new vessel harbour patrol launch called the Diligent, and I was asked to be the godmother for it. And honestly, I was so honoured. Unfortunately, again, on the television series, you will see me trying to smash a bottle about 4 times because it just didn't do it. And in the end, I think you see someone go to try and get this bottle to smash. But I was so honoured, and it's out there doing its thing now, and my name will be on there for probably the next 30 years. So you won't be able to forget about me in a heartbeat. We also, to support the work of our marine team, we secured a £333,000 grant for Innovate UK to be able to create a digital twin of the harbour, and that will allow us to start sort of how we operate in sort of harsher weather conditions, because we do suffer with the weather in Dover. And now I'm going to move on to my specialist subject of the entry-exit scheme. So this is all I ever talk about. My whole family know about the ES more than probably most people in this room, because it's all I ever talk about. And last year, it was due to come in November, so we had a very, very small amount of time to be able to put in quite large infrastructure to be able to deliver this system. And we did it. We did it. We were ready for November. But again, that was down to Tony's team, the projects teams. It was hard trying to build this infrastructure in the middle of a very, very busy ferry terminal. But then it got delayed. They delayed it again, and so what we're now doing is that we filled one of our marinas in 6 weeks. You'll see it went from water to a sand pit in 6 weeks, which was phenomenal. And so what we're doing is we're moving our pre-registration for cars down to the Western Docks, and that gives us around a 40% more space, but it will be in the Western Docks, not the Eastern Docks. So yeah, I'm not going to lie, it's been very, very challenging, but we're getting there. It'll be ready again for this November. I think that it will come in now. I don't think it will be delayed again. It will be a phased implementation. But actually, I'm kind of looking forward to it just happening now. Rather than keep talking about it, let's just get on and do it. So that's it for operations. Again, it's great to have the opportunity to say thank you to the team. They're just amazing. I'm very, very proud of them. And I'll hand you over to Vicky, who's also a member of my team, to talk about health and safety and environment. Thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. It's great to have the opportunity to talk to you again this year, and what a year it's been, as you've already heard. And you've heard about a lot of the elements that sort of come together to help us to deliver some of our key carbon commitments, as you can see up here. We made these commitments back in 22, our overarching commitments, and we have been working really hard across the port to be able to deliver them. So what have we done? Well, we continue to make a charge towards our 25 target, as Doug said, and we're now 98% reduced in terms of our carbon emissions from 2007, so 98% reduction. That's 48% year on year, so from 23. That's our own emissions. We've largely done that through changing the types of fuels that we use and the power that we use. But there's an even bigger animal that we need to tame, and that is our Scope 3 emissions. And we've spent last year looking at what is the size of that challenge. And 34 times our own emissions is what our Scope 3 emissions are. And they're the emissions from all our services and the products that we purchase and use on the port. So We're now working towards making sure that we can prioritise those, because you can imagine a 34 times our own emissions is a massive, massive challenge. So we need to prioritise those and get a clear plan in place to make sure that we can work towards reducing those emissions too. And those emissions are one that we only really have an influence over rather than control, which we do over our own. And of course, our third target is around our Green Corridor ambitions. And there have been a number of, well, there's been a lot of work through the 2050 programme, and Tony, I'm sure, will elaborate more on what has been done around the energy programme to help us deliver that. But as well as these wider targets, or these higher level targets, we've also have our continuous improvement targets. So these are things we're working towards all the time with the aim of hitting zero. So through recycling of our paper and card, you can see there that we have 5.5 million litres of water saved, and over 3,000 trees, the equivalent of through recycling of our paper and card. Cruise vessels, we've always worked really hard, and we have our Sea Award that we work with the cruise operators to deliver. And through initiatives like that, we've managed to reduce the amount of waste being produced, and in particular direct more towards our recycling routes. So as you can see, 13% increase in the amount of our cruise waste that has been recycled this year, which is great. The port has won a number of awards that demonstrates the commitment to the environment and our sustainable initiatives. So again, we achieved the Platinum Award at the regatta, and we also received an award from Schneider for the Sustainability Impact Award that just demonstrated the commitment the port as a whole in reducing our own carbon emissions. Bathing water continues to be excellent, though we had a minor issue of southern water, unfortunately causing a bit of pollution to the harbour. So other than during that period, the rest of the time our water results have demonstrated an excellent water quality at the port. And we are looking to the future, of course. And climate change is something that's always in the news, and something that we are very aware could impact on the port. And so a lot of work has been done to identify what that impact might be, and to build that into our 2050 plans. So yeah, that is environment and sustainability. But yeah, safety is also obviously really important here at the port. And we have focused our attention over the last year in particularly changing behaviour, trying to improve our health and safety culture, trying to encourage the people that work on our port to always take the safe option, to always consider safety. So Doug mentioned our immersive training, and our immersive training was really successful. 289 people attended, and this immersive training involved a mixture of sort of a film of a scenario unfolding, and then some interaction with live actors that came into the room to develop the story further. And it gave the audience the opportunity to maybe talk about the scenarios and talk about the issues that had arisen. And it was the closest I ever want anybody in the port to get to an incident that was demonstrated, and it gave people the opportunity to maybe have a little bit of a feel of what such a situation might lead to, and hopefully taught a lot of the individuals, you know, sort of how to deal with it and how to avoid it in the long run. The other great initiative this year has been, again, AI. So artificial intelligence is becoming more and more popular. We've all probably used ChatGPT or something similar. But we used on-site existing CCTV cameras and linked that with an AI system to monitor activities in the cargo terminal. And in doing so, that enabled incidents of maybe non-conformances or potential non-conformances of adherence to health and safety practices to be highlighted, which then enabled the teams to review. Some were right, some were wrong, but they were able to review them and then take those back to the teams with evidence to then improve those behaviours, so to be able to talk to their teams to make sure that those practices were halted and better practices were put in place. There were also improvements made to some of the infrastructure, so it was a really useful project. We hope to be able to roll that out further across the port, but that project did win an award. We worked with a team called Roboc. It was a trial, and it won an award, a Transport Logistics Award, so really great collaboration. We've produced a number of videos across the year to try and innovate the way we talk about safety. It's a pretty dry subject, as I'm sure many of you will agree, so we try and liven it up by introducing a little bit of humour perhaps. And finally, with the help of the engineering teams, we've finally rolled out, or beginning to roll out, some new walkways to make people be able to access the port and move about the port much more safely. We used to have black and whites that looked a bit like a zebra crossing, and that could mean to a pedestrian that they have a false sense of security because it's a zebra crossing. You expect people to stop for you. Well, on the port, they don't always do that, the vehicles. So we now have green and white elements to our walkways. Sorry, not green and white, that's the hockey club I play for, the green and whites. What I mean is green and red being the danger zone, just like the signage, safety signage, red means danger. So the colour's been changed, there's texture in them to help those that can't see colour, and it's been a really great move, and it brightens the port up a little bit as well, brings a bit of colour to the area. So that's just a summary of the work. Obviously, we've mentioned CSR reports. There's also the environmental monitoring report that's available online, and you can read more about the things that we've been doing. But having mentioned the rollout of the safe walkways, and Tony Yates heads up the team as Engineering and Infrastructure Director, so I will introduce him now to come and talk more about his work.
Thanks for the intro, Vicky. So I'm Tony Yates, I'm the Infrastructure Director for the Port of Dover, one of the more interesting jobs, as you can imagine. And I'm also the proud sponsor for the Port of Dover 2050 Master Plan. And it really has been an incredible journey we've come on. We'll start with engagement. So we've been out in the local community, out with port users. We spoke to government, statutory bodies, trade associations, local universities, colleges. We've literally engaged with thousands of people over thousands of hours, and that's been a real team effort. And there was an incredible amount of interest in our plans, which will deliver significant local and national economic benefit. But let's talk about those benefits. The 2050 Master Plan will deliver our net zero ambitions. We'll be using the latest technologies, and whether that's through installing heat pumps in the cruise terminals or Lord Warden House to replace our old gas systems, or even to the scale of electrification of the port itself and the electrification of the short straits, which will create a green corridor for our ferry partners to use sustainably. And to give you a quantum of what that could achieve, that's over 1.1 million tonnes of carbon, scope 3, so a massive help towards the target that Vicky was talking about earlier. It'll increase economic growth in Dover and the surrounding areas. Most importantly, I would say, to local residents and wider, it'll reduce congestion and remove the queues from our road networks. And it'll create new jobs and opportunities for future generations, and there'll be different types of jobs. I'm sure Emma Williams might touch on that, but the world is changing rapidly. And as an engineer, I can speak for my team. It's very difficult to recruit the right skills. It's very difficult to get professional engineers in this area. We compete with London and the prices they can pay for folks. So skills is a massive piece for me. And just, again, to give you an idea of this economic benefit for the region, Tim spoke about 144 billion and a third of the UK goods that come through the port. We had a piece of economic analysis performed that showed an increase in trade of 20% through these plans. So like for like, up to 173 billion of trade. And that's through our port. That's something I'm very proud of. And it's the infrastructure that my team looks after that keeps all that going. So being an engineer, it's a great time to talk about new infrastructure and what's coming in the future, and we've got plenty of it. In 2024, we proved we can deliver. We spent more in 2024 in capital expenditure than we spent in the previous 4 years put together. I mean, it was incredible. It's like going from 0 to 100 miles an hour in 12 months. A faster delivery improvement than I've ever had in my career, and I've had a few. Emma mentioned the DWDR project and the reclamation work that we did. We filled in an area of docks the size of 26 football pitches. We could probably house the whole of the Premier League. They have different clubs on our port. You know, it's just incredible. That was almost 1 million tonne of sand that we moved around in 6 weeks. I mean, yeah, incredible. But we've got further investments. We've got investments in the cruise business to renovate these beautiful buildings that we've got, and a not so beautiful building down the way, which we're going to improve significantly. We've got improvements and investments to make to our cargo business to bring in extra revenue. We've got some pure engineering type projects, the elevated road, which is the artery that runs through the heart of our port. We're going to repair all the bearings on that, so we'll spend about 20 million improving that asset. That is a bit geeky and it's more interesting to me and structural engineers, but anyway, believe me, it's interesting. I could even tell you how many bearings there are on the elevated road, if that would interest you. Would you like to guess, Doug? 130. And these aren't, you know, they're not little ball bearings on your Scalextric. I mean, this is major kit. So then let's talk about the ferry berths. There was a spoiler on the first slide, actually. There was a berth 10 and 11, and those that have been here a while know that they don't exist yet, so they'll be state-of-the-art multifunctional berths. And then come back to a pet subject of mine, because Doug's given me a few gifts since I've been here. He gave me Port of Dover 2050. He also gave me energy as a gift, not personally. I have quite a bit of energy myself, but he gave me the dubious task of moving from 2 MVA today to 200 MVA in 10 years. I mean, that's a 100-fold increase in 10 years. I mean, it's quite, I'm not going to say it's quite electric, but it quite literally it is. And if you want to have an idea in your home what that might feel like, if 666 people switched on their kettles at exactly the same time, you'd have enough power to power our port today. And then those that are good at maths will know there's about 66,666 kettles all at the same time to power the port of the future. I don't know if that gives you a quantum of it, but anyone who's ever put a kettle on and watched the electricity meter whiz round will know it's quite a bit of energy. Okay, so I'd like to finish by mentioning one of my personal highlights from Dover 2050 Master Plan, and that's the engagement of the senior leadership team. It's been absolutely brilliant. This piece of work wouldn't have turned out the way it did without all their commitment and hard work. They gave up literally hours of their day jobs to come to meetings, to formulate and plan what the future of this port would look like. So incredible input from the senior leader team. So a massive thank you from me. And this effort that they've put in has directly resulted in us being nominated for an Engineering Excellence Award with the Institute of Civil Engineers. And the ceremony's tomorrow night. I'll be there. I may not talk about this again if we don't win, but if we do win, I'll bring along the trophy certificate or whatever they give me to parade around this stage. So thank you for your time and patience, and I'm sorry I'm sometimes a little bit of a geeky engineer, but we really do keep the place moving. So with that in mind, I'll pass you over to Emma Williams, HR Director.
Right, I've been told to move the mic down a little bit because I'm not as tall as the other members of the exec team. So good afternoon, everyone. So embedding our values throughout the organisation was a key focus for the year, and their cascade right from the top can be seen through the introduction of the Leadership Capability Framework. So this framework really identifies what it means to be a Port of Dover leader, and it highlights and outlines the competencies and the behaviours that we expect within our organisation and we expect from our leaders. It's used to identify future talents and create learning opportunities, and we've rolled this out to our entire leadership team and management throughout 2024, and it continues to form part of our recruitment and all elements of our employee life cycle. Throughout 24, we've established new engagement groups designed to recognise and foster connections with people, and one such group was our Empower group, which was created to give employees a voice, using a structured platform to influence and develop future initiatives that will help shape the port for the future. I'm pleased to say it's been a really good success. There's a number of initiatives that they've been working on, and they've been supporting us in terms of engaging with our people and getting support and communication and feedback on future ideas. Throughout the year, we've celebrated some national and global initiatives, and this further highlights our diversity and inclusivity agenda. One example was International Day for Women in Maritime. This enabled us to showcase several female employees in pivotal roles who are helping us to shape the future of the port whilst pursuing future and rewarding careers within maritime. We've also introduced our Employee Recognition Hub. This is intrinsically linked to our values, and this gives us the opportunity to reward and recognise individuals who are living and breathing our values and reward in real time. And then more so to say thank you for a job well done. So as Doug mentioned, we've also have an employee volunteering scheme, and this is not only of a benefit to the people in the organisations we deliver projects for, but it's also great for our people who appreciate the opportunity to go and work in the community and being part of a team. It's provided them the opportunity to learn new skills, so they've had skills in project management, zookeeping, digging, gardening, problem solving, every kind of skill that you can expect, and it's gone down really, really well with our employees. So if we then start looking to the future, we will continue to run our leading apprenticeship scheme. That helps us develop skills not only for now, but for the future, supporting the agenda that Tony's trying to drive. And in 2024, we had 13 apprentices at the port, all working in different areas. So we've really broadened out the scope of our apprenticeship programmes. We're building new, strong skills, and we now have a future pipeline for strong talent within the port. We continue to develop capability of our people, and we've utilised the apprenticeship programme to upskill a number of our existing employees alongside all the development initiatives that we currently have. So we're not just bringing in new skills, we're building and growing our own talent for the future. So during 2024, we offered work placements to T-level students as they undertook their qualification to gain knowledge and skills in the workplace. And we are a number of people in the port who gave their time up to dedicate and shape these T-level students so they understand the value of the world of work. The T-level support has had a great result, and in 2024 the port won an award for Best Skills Initiative for its T-level placement programme. This involved us sharing with other ports the values that T-level can bring, as well as promoting the port sector as an employer of choice. So we've also received an Outstanding Employer Award from East Kent College for supporting work placements, and we were selected by the college's engineering team for creating interesting and meaningful opportunities for T-level students. Last year, we also hosted 19 short-term work placements across multiple areas of the port, including marine, operations, engineering and estates. So there are many other examples of how we're supporting current and future workforce, and you'll see the engagement we have had with today's visits from the local schools and colleges. So I hope this gives you a flavour in terms of the direction we're heading. And now I hand you back to Doug.
Brilliant. Thanks, Emma. One of the things that hopefully has come across is just how busy we've been, not just managing the traffic through the port, but developing ourselves and moving forward. Now, what I wanted to do is reflect a little bit on another element of our work in the community. You know, we heard about the 10 years of the Port Community Fund. We heard about the employee volunteering, but another key area is our sponsorship program. And here, you know, we've got a specific sponsorship program, really, you know, looking at being able to provide funding into, you know, generally young people to pursue their dreams and their ambitions. You know, one of the things, it's consistent with the values and how we like to operate as well, is where we can lean into this. One of the examples we had is a new girls football team, under 13, the Sandwich. Do I have? I didn't realize I had a slide, Jenny. Thank you very much. The Sandwich Sapphires. Have I hit everything? The Sandwich Sapphires. And we put together their first ever branded football kit. And we're helping them to be able to compete in a tournament at Charlton Athletic Football Club. And that kind of made them all feel really proud. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors in just a moment. But I also wanted to highlight Michaela's in the room too, who is a real role model in what she does. She's a very powerful person, and this is the kind of thing you'll hear from Noah, I have no doubt as well, around how these are creating, ambassadors and leaders and role models of the future. So let me tell you about Noah. He's a middle distance runner. He started running during COVID and he hasn't stopped. He does about 60 miles a week, and he balances this with his schoolwork and and a part-time job as well. So he's got aspirations, and we're keen to support him in his aspirations. And we like World Championships, we like Commonwealth Games, and hopefully bring a gold to Dover, Noah, for the Olympics. So with that, I'd like to introduce Noah Patterson, who's going to come and say a few words.
Here in the field, 3 abreast into the final 200 metres.
And how exciting is this, Harrison? Really picking up as they come through. It's number 41, Noah Patterson of Kent, that takes the lead into the final 200 metres now.
So good evening, everyone. That clip you just saw there was me leading a national 3,000 metre race, and it captures both one of the proudest and painful moments of my life. With metres to go, I was overtaken. I missed out on second place. This was the qualifier for the England team and the chance to represent my country by just 900ths of a second. 900ths. I can't describe the frustration. That tiny margin was less than the blink of an eye. It cost me a dream I'd worked so hard for. I remember standing at the finish, my heart racing, waiting anxiously to hear the results. Third in England. A result to be proud of, no doubt, but it was bittersweet. I was devastated to come that close to my dream and fall just short. But in that moment, something else was born. A fire. That loss didn't break me, it motivated me. And now, with the incredible support of the Port of Dover, I'm more than determined than ever to earn my spot on the international stage. My journey into running didn't begin like most. I wasn't on the track at age 8. I was a footballer. I still remember placing 50th in a school Kent cross-country race and being elated. It wasn't until lockdown that I properly found running, or maybe running found me. I started during those long, quiet days and quickly fell in love with it. The freedom, the rhythm, the feeling of progressing every day, it became something more than sport. It became who I was. With no coach, I took matters into my own hands. I'd spent hours researching training methods, reading about how elites prepared, and created my own training plans. I was obsessed with improvement, and I was chasing the tiniest margins, hungry to see what I could become. And then 2 years after that 50th place finish, I returned to the same Kent Cross Country Championships. This time, I won it. No special equipment, no professional guidance, just a 15-year-old kid, a pair of worn-out trainers, and a dream. I stood at the top of that podium in absolute disbelief. I had no idea I could come this far. But in that moment, I realized something powerful. If you work relentlessly, if you believe in your own potential, anything is possible. That's why I'm so incredibly grateful for the Port of Dover. Their sponsorship has had a significant impact on my running career. Their funding has helped me travel to races all across the country, competing against the best and learning every step of the way. It's allowed me to step away from my job at McDonald's so I can focus fully on training, recovery, and performance. I've even had access to VO2 max testing, giving me deep insights into my training zones and physical capacity. Alongside that, I've been supported by physiotherapists and a sports nutritionist, helping me fine-tune every aspect of my performance, from recovery to fueling my body for peak results. Today, things look a little bit different. I now train with a fantastic coach and an incredible group called Canterbury Endurance. I run up to 75 miles a week, I do strength work in the gym, and balance it all while studying 4 A-levels. It's tough, but I wouldn't trade it for anything because I know what I'm chasing. Soon, I hope to take the next step in my journey at Birmingham University, one of the top athletics unis in the country. Their world-class facilities, coaching, and competitive environment will help me develop and push towards the elite level. So thanks to the Port of Dover support, I've run a 14:39 5K, ranking me 6th in the UK for my age group, and an 8:25 3,000 metres, placing me 7th. And this is just the beginning. The biggest races and championships are yet to come. And my goal is to wear that England vest, and beyond that, to one day stand on the Olympic stage. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Jenny and Naomi, and everyone at the Port of Dover. You're not just supporting an athlete, you're supporting someone chase their lifelong dream. So to everyone listening, no matter how late you start or how far the goal may seem, believe in yourself, chase it, fight it, because if a 15-year-old kid with no coach can do this, then so can you. Thank you.
You're fantastic, Noah. I mean, you make all of us proud, I think, thank you. Right, guys, we're to the point in the evening where we've got an open exchange, or in another form, a question and answer. We have some microphones around. Does anybody have anything you'd like to ask? No, that's okay. It seems, sorry. Oh, yep.
What is the Port of Dover doing to promote tourism around Dover town rather than sending people off to Canterbury or to London, particularly from the cruise terminal? And can we have signage from the cruise terminal to the town?
Yeah, one of the, a few things. First of all, we're very busy working on creating a sense of place so that we can make visitors, not just the cruise passengers, but also the ferry travelers, to stop for a while in Dover. We work also with the Dover greeters on making certain that, we're providing that service to our cruise guests and, direction finding. One of the things that we'll be doing as a part of our construction work for the Dover Western, or the EES over in the Dover Western Docks, is we're creating a new road or an extension of Union Street so that there's better access between the seafront, town center seafront, and the cruise terminal. We got a tricky bit right at the end over by Lord Warden Square that might be a little bit challenged or delayed, but the ambition is to create that going all the way through. And of course, we work with organizations like Visit Kent and to try and promote the tourism in the area. Diedrich's got a microphone. Do you want to just say a little bit more about some of the placemaking activities that you're doing?
So we host music every weekend on Clock Tower Square on both Saturday and Sunday. We work closely as well with Dover District Council and Dover Town Council and Future Foundry, funding additional events in the town centre. And also we're working, we also fund local experts from the town into the cruise terminals to promote coming into town, and also we're working with English Heritage as well to open up access more and more into for the cruise passengers.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we've been doing over the course of 2024 is we're trying to work ever more closely with Dover Town and Dover Town Council, so that we can provide, more unified, not only events, and also looking to support the community in ways, but also trying to create, shared purpose. Ed Biggs is here. There he is. Edward, do you want to comment on anything?
For me, my role at Town Council as Mayor and District Council, that I know Doug and I have had long discussions about this, and I think it's very key that we do that. Obviously funding's an issue of how we get the funding and the support to do that, but I think we have a real aim to actually make the port part of Dover as opposed to being seen, there's the port and there's the town. And I'm very aware that, you know, there are obviously other towns in the country where it's town and gown, and that to some extent has been a history here in terms of the separation. But I think we've got a real drive, and I'm very encouraged by Doug's engagement in that, and certainly I'm very keen to actually encourage that and make that happen. So all those kind of words, I just hope the words we can make them really happen. It's all very well talking about it, but we've got to make some tangible benefits for the town, feel that the town's fully engaged with the port, and I think from what I'm hearing now and the engagements we had, I feel encouraged that we can do that. So my message is probably between us all, watch this space, because I think all that we're saying we're going to try and do.
Cheers, Edward. Thank you. Anybody? Oh.
Hi, I'd just like to add to that I represent Dover Community Radio, and it's with your help, Port of Dover has enabled us to broadcast for the next 2 years from Dover. And in answer to the questions that have been raised about what you do, how you do it, that's something that as community radio we will be reporting on, and we will be putting the message out there to everybody concerned.
Very good. Thank you very much. It's one of the things that we're really keen to support as well, because we think that Dover Community Radio is going to provide the ability to connect people right across the entire community into work that's going on across the place. So, thanks, Sean. Anybody have any other questions? Very good. I won't linger, but what I'd like to do is I'd like Jason to come up and give us some closing remarks. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Doug, and thank you everybody for their piece today. As you can see, it is quite a privilege to be on the board of the Dover Harbour Board, and it's great to see the skill and work and effort of everybody to make what has been a very successful year in 2024. So hopefully you found this evening to be informative and useful for you. There is an overwhelming sense of community. We have 2 community members on the board, and all that we've talked about today, and I think many days during the port year, is about working with the community. So I'm hoping that has come through strong and clear. We're working very hard, and we continue to work very hard to drive a very positive agenda at multiple levels. And we're working with many, many stakeholders, and that's something we cannot do more of. We have to continually improve working with our stakeholders. Underpinned by a strong culture that you have seen today, that guides us in all that we do and keeps us going to make sure that we're delivering mutual prosperity, both for the port, but also for the community. And again, we talked about how that is benefiting the community. But there are some storm clouds ahead, notably the EES, which we talked about, which is in the great hands of Emma and Tony. And we've already done sort of chapter 1 of EES, and we did it well last year. And the expectation is we will be on parade on the 1st of November with a very, very successful EES solution. And if we can crack that problem, then there's not much that can get in the way for going forward in 2025. We need to have an ambitious net zero target, which you've seen from Vicky. And we've got plenty of Port of Dover 2050 aspirations, which Tony told you about. We continue to work with government. Government is everywhere in all the things that we do, both our government and governments across the water in Europe. The successful implementation of EES is going to be a very strong hallmark for the Port of Dover. And it means that we'll be able to continue to offer seamless, sustainable travel connections into Europe. We work with our education partners, as you've seen, on several levels, to deliver the skills and to operate the port as we can with the new technology that's coming through, and also for the local community to harness those skills and create more interesting and successful jobs for what will be going on in the 21st century. All this is about value. It's about value for the community, it's about value for the town, and it's about value for the port. Everything we do in the port goes back into the system. It doesn't go to shareholders. It comes back into the port and it goes into the community and our customers and our ferry operators. So that's it. We've had a very challenging year in 2024. I think I'd like to say thank you from the board, for the team, and all the employees and staff of the Port of Dover who've risen to that challenge. 2025 has already started. It's very difficult, it's hard, but we're progressing and we're doing well. And I would look forward to seeing you again this time next year with another strong story about 2025 and hopefully an even larger check. Thank you very much. Thank you.